All right, well, glad to have you back in the studio. So just as we've seen in the report, Fabemi, on behalf of the federal government, dragged the 36 state governors in the country to court for seeking full autonomy of local government. And then on Thursday, the Supreme Court gave the 36 governors of the Federation 7 days to file their defense in a suit brought against them by the Attorney General of the Federation. So let's get your view on this latest development, local government autonomy. I think it's a discussion that has been on for years. It's not just, now that it's starting. But what's your view, I mean, when you heard about this step that the federal government are taking to make sure that, this goes with full force? What was your view on it?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be a three-tier government system. According to our constitution, we're supposed to have federal government, state government, and the local government.
Yeah.
And the local government, the government that's closer to the grassroots, is supposed to be allowed to run efficiently. Most of the duties of the local government have been taken over by the state government. And we have seen that since the democracy, 25 years of democracy, the governors have practically, use the local government as a political chess game, to either appoint critical committees, sole administrators, even when the elections are conducted, there's money, so you see all kinds of things going on with the local government. So that's why development is not dovetail. It does not dovetail to the grassroots where people are supposed to feel it most. So, and it's the right step, and I hope that we will see it see it implemented. I think during the Buhari time, there was even an executive order, that local government money should be given to them.
Yeah.
But because I think it's a constitutional, I was thinking that it should be a constitutional issue to be amended, because right now I think what the constitution says is that the money of the local government is given to the state, and it's the state government that will now disburse the fund to them. So if we have a constitution that's so clear that the state government is getting their money directly, the local government are also getting their own funding directly from the federation account. I think that's what the executive order tried to do. I don't know how far it went, but until that happens, that you cannot really have, you may not be able to have that independence that it needs. And you see that most of the governor, most of the states, where you have, whatever party you see have controlling the state, will also be the parties controlling all the local government. Even when elections are done, there's a way it's done in such a way that it is the state, is the party that control the state. You will not see, maybe in a state where you have 20 local governments, like Lagos, you will see that all the 20 local governments will eventually have the same party of the governor that was win election. All those local governments. So you see all kinds of things. I just think that this will correct all of that, and so that we can have an independent local government that is autonomous, that's able to raise their own fund, do their internal generation of fund, and apply the fund that they have from the federation account to do the internal rules, the healthcare, the primary schools, and all of that, and everything that they need, that the constitutional they have assigned to them to be able to carry out those functions for the benefit of people at the grassroots.
All right, so Mr. Sunday, let's have your, because I mean, just like he said, some people believe that this local government autonomy issue is the surest way for development, especially to the grassroots, and also to help when it comes to this insecurity we've been battling and all of that. So do you agree? And there's something he said I would also love to add, so you could just address it all together. I mean, looking at the state and then the local government, just like he said, at the end of the day, it's more like the local government have to dance to the state, whoever is, and then we've had instances of where a particular party is yes, and then they change, the whole local, and all of that. So I think all the autonomy issue and all of that is out to address it. Yeah. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think the autonomy of the local government cannot be compromised for any reason. That one is established. However, I also think the federal government is going about it the wrong way.
Okay.
All right. It's unfortunate that even this legal action is coming in the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Being a man who fought for the powers of the state to control local government when he was governor. In 2006, Tinubu created 37 local councils in Lagos from existing 20 local governments. He requested the National Assembly, the Senate, to list them in the Constitution. They turned it down. He went to court. Subsequently, former President Obasanjo, who was the president then, held back the allocation of the local government to Lagos State from the federation account. Tinubu went to court. He won the case. I was a young journalist there. Obasanjo disobeyed the court. I was one of those who was talking about executive lawlessness to the point that my editor invited me. I said, how can you say the president is lawless? I said, but even the Supreme Court gives a judgment and the president does not obey. It's not executive lawlessness. You define it. You know, now we'll move. So I thought that our President Bola Tinubu would have started from where he stopped the previous time. First of all, get the National Assembly to enlist the 37 local councils he created in the Constitution and let them become local government, have local government status. Why are they called the LCDA? It was a political negotiation from stakeholders, elder statesmen, who said, okay, because he was not willing to go back. That same year, Plateau State created local government. But because of the action of President Obasanjo, Governor Joshua Daniel withdrew the creation of local government. It was only Tinubu who stood firm. There was another state from the north that also created. So because of the action of the president, they withdrew. He stood for it. So he would have stood firm for what he believes in. This court case is not necessary. Get to the Constitution. The only area local government is done in the Constitution is to be listed. The federal government does not have power to make laws for local governments. The power to make laws for local government resides with the state government. And when you also look at the principle of federalism, local government is not a federating unit. Not even in the United States. The federating units are the federal and the states. Local government falls under the state. To some aspect of theory, they say it's an administrative unit of the state. So the autonomy of local government should be granted by the governors, not by the president. When Mr. President, former President Muhammad Buhari, when he came out with the executive bill, and I just look at it, I said, this is executive lawlessness. You cannot, it's all bias, and that is why they could not implement it.
But you know the governors will never really come up to, I mean, I think most of the governors are already opposing this autonomy issue.
No, yes, we are coming to that.
Okay.
That is for their own selfishness.
Okay.
Local governments deserve to be autonomous. That is not debatable. If we must get development to the grassroots. But the approach that they are taking the country is faulted, is flawed. So they want to impose the federal might on the state. I don't think that is going to work. When the former president said he did an executive order, he cannot take the powers of the governors. And in a federation, the governor is not subordinate to the president. They have spheres of constitutional powers to exercise in the administration of the country. And this they must know. President Tinubu is a federalist. He must understand this. And when you also look at the evolution of local government in Nigeria, in 1960, there was no, local government was not mentioned in the Constitution. It was former President Obasanjo in 1978, when he was going to draft the 1979 Constitution, that they mentioned local government in the Nigerian Constitution for the first time. Former President Babangida, in the 1988 reforms, now elevated local government to the present status when he introduced presidential system into the local government. In the past, local government was just meant for administration and all that. But Babangida now introduced the presidential system into the local government, where he now created the legislative arm of the local council, where you have the councillors who make laws, and you have the executive councillors. Who introduced that? And that is supervisory council. And that is where we are today. And it has always been, they have always been elected over time. So that is not questionable. But for the issue of autonomy, it's not the federal government that should impose on the states. It's the states that should decide on that. Okay. Let's be very honest with that.
Might never happen. Oh, all right, quickly, yes.
I know that if, when you talk about autonomy, if you don't allow them to control their own finances, they can never be autonomous. Autonomy, to me, in our Nigerian parlance, is when they control their own finances. When you give them their own fund and they separate, they don't have to go to the governor, because what the governors do is once they get this money from the local government, they keep this money and they give it to them as they want. So some even manage and do all the whatever they have to do at the local government is done for them by the state, and they don't need to talk, because some of them go into that office as local government chairman through the benevolence of the state government. So they can't do anything, they can't stand to the governor. Some of them have tried to do that, they are removed unceremoniously and replaced. So, and we have seen some governors are even running the local government through caretaker committee that are appointed for 6 months, they are renewed instead of election. So we have seen governors in this country that refuse to do local government election for 8 years. Until when they were ready to depart, when they are ready to change government, they now say, okay, let's have an election for the local government, so that they can use them to win the next election. So that's, and who is suffering? Because when the elephant fight, is the grass. The grass. So at the end of the day, it is the people at the local government that are suffering. So the state government is not feeling it, because they are taking advantage of that money, so they just collect the fund and domicile in the state, and like a handout, just can pay your salary, don't worry. Whatever you want to do, they do the contract, the rules, even for them. So they are not allowed to carry out anything apart from paying salaries and doing whatever they have. So we must, if we don't have, because even the presidential system of government that we run, where it's copied from the US, we saw what the local councils are doing. You know, they have their own police, they have their own, they probably control everything at the local, at that local level. And until that, even the security that we're talking about will not improve, because the people that are the local government chairman need to has a role that they can play, you know, in a certain level of power. At a certain level, at that level. And when he doesn't have the funding to do anything, he's just going to answer to the governor. How can the governor, who is in the state capital, know whatever is happening in all the local government and try to control the local government? As long as we have that, it's not going to be to the benefit of our own people. All right, thank you so much. Thank you,
actually, there's a genuine case for local government autonomy.
In just a few seconds.
But we must have to do within the appropriate, the functional structures. That's my argument. Okay. It's not that somebody comes from anywhere, because tomorrow it could be another person. If you jump the gun, and tomorrow it bounces back, it boomerang, we'll still go back to where we are. So they should find out. It should be a negotiation between local government officials and governors. And it should be an issue to be dropped at the governor's forum. Let's deliberate on this and let's work on it. But it's not for the federal government to impose it on governors. Okay. It's going to be illegal. I do not see the federal government in this case, except the court wants to be political. Both in principle and in law, in the Constitution. All right,
Mr. Sunday. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday Dibashi, and thank you so much, Mr. Felix, for learning that. Thank you. It's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much to all our viewers as well that were part of the program. I'm sure you enjoyed today's conversation. Do keep it a date with us, same time, same station here in Galaxy TV for more interesting reviews. My name is Negwarangi Mazaka, and this is Editor's Forum. As for now, goodbye.